2025 is packed with tons of giant 8A releases, from brand new IPs to some of the most awaited sequels we've been dying to play. It's shaping up to be one of the most epic years in gaming, and trust me, I've had my eye on all the big titles dropping that year. But I've rounded up only the top 15 most anticipated games coming out in 2025, so stick around to the end.
Cheers.
Because there's an unexpected competitor that could push GTA 6 back to 2026. 1. Death Stranding. 2. On the Beach, TBA 2025. Death Stranding needs absolutely no introduction at all. It's a brilliant game that's known for its incredible world building. It wasn't always loved though. In fact, there are many players who find the game boring or slow. And that's a fact. It sure takes its sweet time to build up a story. And that's exactly what made it so darn good. And we can expect the same from its sequel, a narrative-heavy adventure. However, the sequel also seems to be paying a good bit of attention to combat as well, introducing new weapons and gadgets, which I think is a welcome change, really. But what excites me the most is the game world and the character building, which I am sure is going to be just as good as the first one, if not better. 2. Fable, 2025. We also have Fable coming out in 2025 as a soft reboot to the franchise, one that's looking epic, to be honest. We've got a gorgeous-looking world filled with fairies, monsters, and magic. We haven't seen much of the game, but the trailer has certainly given us a glimpse of what to expect. Intense melee and ranged combat, colossal monsters, and a lot of new and familiar faces to hang out with. I have to admit, the game world is looking pretty gorgeous, with attention to even the tiniest details. And for longtime fans, the cheeky humor in the voiceover,
Perhaps the greatest hero of them all. Yeah?
should feel pretty nostalgic. This reboot is shaping up to deliver everything we love about Fable with a fresh new spin. Third Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, February 11th, 2025. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 might not be the most anticipated game of 2025, but for anyone who's played the first game, I am sure they are just as excited as I am to get their hands on this one. It's a sequel that brings back the same in-depth gameplay of the first one, which was already too good, with a world that is twice as big, fully enhanced visuals, and of course, smoother combat animations for absolutely action-packed sword fights. If you haven't played the first game yet, you really should. It's an RPG masterpiece that in many ways is like Witcher 3 meets Red Dead Redemption, but more RPG-ish kind of gameplay. Here, everything has to be done manually, skills need to be learned, items and weapons need to be crafted and taken care of, and dealing with NPCs outside of battle requires some serious strategy. That's what you're gonna get with this sequel as well. 4. Ghost of Yōtei, TBA 2025. Speaking of sequels, how could we ever forget Ghost of Yōtei, the upcoming sequel to Ghost of Tsushima? I am sure you've heard all about it, and mostly through controversies, because this sequel is about to change it all. It doesn't continue Jin Sakai's story. Instead, we're gonna play as a different protagonist, a female warrior, set in a different setting, 300 years after the events of the first game. This surely raises concerns among Tsushima's fans, but they are willing to give it a shot. After all, it's coming from the same team who pulled that insane game that's got everyone talking. I am hopeful that we will see the same intense action with a mix of stealth in a world that'll be totally free to explore as we like. 5. Assassin's Creed Shadows, February 14th, 2025. While we are still on the topic of female warriors, we also have Assassin's Creed Shadows, Ubisoft's upcoming entry to the long-running AC franchise coming out in 2025. This game also lets you play as a female shinobi, but we also do have a male protagonist, a samurai warrior, giving players the flexibility to experience the game from two unique perspectives. Shadows is taking us back to feudal Japan, looking highly detailed and absolutely gorgeous. From what I've seen so far, we'll be getting the same mix of intense action and stealth with AC's signature parkour. But the combat this time looks different, with a more disciplined and deliberate pace to it. The expectations are very high for this game because Ubisoft's darling franchise hasn't really been doing too good with the fans. 6. Dune Awakening, early 2025. Then we have Dune Awakening, an absolutely brutal-looking game that throws you right into what's called the universe's most dangerous planet, Arrakis. It's going to be an MMO featuring a vast open world where everything wants you dead, whether it's the air, the sunlight, the barren desert, or even other survivors. It's like all your nightmares have become reality at once. It's going to be challenging, but equally as fun, because you will have friends to team up with and join you in your battles against the rivals, all while surviving those giant sandworms. This one's set to come out early 2025. 7. Light No Fire, TBA 2025. Light No Fire isn't a big name compared to games coming from giant franchises, but it's really caught a lot of eyes. It's a survival exploration game that promises to offer a game world that is just as big as our planet Earth, which is really awesome. And from what I've seen, it doesn't look empty at all. It's actually pretty diverse and detailed. I am getting a lot of No Man's Sky vibe from this one, and that's no surprise, because it's actually from the same developer. And yes, it's also going to feature a procedurally generated world with multiplayer. So what's the difference then? Well, Light Not Fire promises a more grounded experience with more depth and meaningful progression compared to No Man's Sky. It looks ambitious, but seeing how they managed to pull an infinite game world, they can surely manage a single planet and make it feel alive. 8. Crimson Desert, Q2 2025. Then we have Crimson Desert, easily one of the most ambitious games on this list. It's an upcoming action-adventure title where you play as a Viking warrior caught in the middle of a brutal clan war. The game was originally planned as a prequel to Black Desert, but it's since evolved into its own different adventure. I can't help but draw comparisons to God of War and Witcher, for its focus on intense combat and exploration, with a story that focuses on the protagonist as he deals with the consequences of his past, while striving to protect his people and prevent further bloodshed. From what I've gathered, the world of Crimson Desert promises to be vast and packed with adventures, quests, and a host of interesting characters to encounter. It's shaping up to deliver a richly detailed landscape full of stories waiting to unfold, and if the trailers are anything to go by, it's going to be breathtaking. If you are enjoying this video so far, please consider subscribing. It will be a huge help. 9. Doom, The Dark Ages, late 2025. Now, if you are more into chaotic, kind of a mindless action, then keep an eye out on Doom: The Dark Ages. This one looks absolutely insane, just as frenetic and fun as the original, but with a heck of a lot more chaos, gore, and relentless demon-slaying action. It throws you back into the shoes of our favorite demon slayer, taking on hordes of demons in hell. However, as far as the story is concerned, which most of us hardly ever care about, it is set before the events of 2016's Doom and Eternal, with a medieval twist to it. So, it's basically a prequel and a fabulous-looking one that's set to come out late 2025. 10. Zooy, March 28, 2025. Then we have Zooy, the most insane-looking life simulation game that's set to come out in 2025. If you've played Sims, you're gonna feel right at home with this one. However, this one looks way more realistic and packed with customizations down to the tiniest details. You control every single aspect of your Zoe's life in this game, from jobs to marriage and raising children to building your dream house. This game will let you do everything. The best part is that it's aiming for ultra-realistic visuals. The characters actually look and act like real humans, socializing, taking photos by the beach, attending parties, visiting fairs, basically everything you'd expect from a fully realized life sim. So, if you're a fan of life simulations, this one's going to be a must-play when it lands on March 28, 2025. 11. Avowed, February 18, 2025. Then we have Avowed, which is a game I've been following for quite a long time now. It's an action RPG that puts you in the shoes of an envoy, sent to investigate an island that's overtaken by some strange plague. This one seems to be focusing heavily on combat, with a touch of investigative work to figure out the origins of the plague. The island is packed with monsters and mutants, but thankfully, your character isn't all lonely. You can hire local allies to help you on your journey to save the island. The combat looks really dynamic, with an unusual mix of magic, melee weapons, and even guns that make every encounter feel fresh and unusually fun for a game like this. Avowed is set to release on the 18th of February, 2025. 12th, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, 2025. Metal Gear Solid has always been my go-to franchise for that epic combo of action and stealth, and I just can't tell you how excited I was when Delta Snake Eater got announced during Sony's State of Play back in 2023. It really took me by surprise, but I've had my eyes on this game since. It's a remake that is built from the ground up, so we can expect a lot of changes, but at the same time, the core mechanics are going to stay the same. Besides the visual overhaul, which I loved, of course, the game's also introducing a third-person camera angle, which makes it easier for us to scan through the environment for enemies. Plus, we're getting a bunch of quality-of-life improvements that make the gameplay a whole lot smoother. This one doesn't have a fixed release date, but I am hoping early 2025. 13th, Monster Hunter Wilds, February 28, 2025. The Monster Hunter series is also ready to drop its next big game, Monster Hunter Wilds, and it's looking fabulous. You can expect the same fan-favorite formula that's been keeping fans hooked for years now, with a lot of new features and improvements. All the weapons from World are going to be part of Wilds' arsenal. Plus, we're getting new moves, skills, enemies, and plenty of biomes to explore. The game's supposed to be played with a party of 4 players, so you can either team up with 3 other friends, or you can let AI take control of your companions for that solo monster hunting experience. The trailers have also shown new mounts, which is always a welcome addition for traversing the vast lands. 14. Mafia The Old Country, 2025 Mafia The Old Country. Guys, I have to say, this was unexpected, but 2K came out of nowhere with their next Mafia game, which is supposed to be released in 2025. Now, that's the same year when GTA 6 is supposed to come out, which sounds odd, because both of these games are actually under Take-Two's umbrella, which is the parent company to both Rockstar and 2K. It's highly likely that one of these games will be delayed, and since we don't have a fixed release for either, my bet's on GTA 6. Anyway, this game is looking insane, and it's taking us back to the origins of Mafia, set in 1900s Sicily. This means we're gonna have an original story and a ton of Mafia action that we loved in the previous games, with graphics that are going to aim for photorealism. 15. GTA 6, Fall 2025. And lastly, we have the most anticipated game of 2025, or, in fact, the most anticipated game, period. I am talking about GTA 6, the game that we've all been waiting for years now. All we've got, officially, is only a single trailer, but unofficially, we have learned a lot about the game. It's taking us back to Vice City, and this time, as 2 protagonists, Lucia and Jason, playing as Bonnie and Clyde kind of power couple. Even if we just talk about the trailer, we can see better NPCs, more detailed game world, a lot of action-packed crimes, exotic new cars, different biomes, wildlife, and so much more. I could talk about GTA 6 for hours, but I'm pretty you've heard plenty already. GTA 6 actually has a release window of fall 2025. Hopefully, it won't get delayed. All right, guys, that's all we have for this list, but there are plenty more titles that are aiming for a 2025 release. It's certainly a great time to be a gamer, and a terrible time for our wallets, really. I've been saving up for a while now, but looking at this lineup, I don't think I'm even close to affording a quarter of these epic games. So, tell me, which games are you most hyped for? Are you already saving up, or are you just planning to wing it when the time comes? That's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.